So what is it that seems to scare my clients the most? It surprises me every time. Hi, it's David, and this is another entry into the virtual leadership library that I'm building for you and people like you, that person who can see a better future and hasn't yet brought it to life, but you are committed to make it happen. This library is for you. I was having a conversation in my client Carol's office. She'd just been promoted to the role, the general manager role that she'd been working towards for years. Now she had full profit and loss responsibility over the entire division that she was running. So you got to be excited about this role, right? Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, you don't sound excited. What's happening? Well, look, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm going to have a lot more customer contact in this role. Yes, and you will be great at that. Well, yeah, but I mean, it means also I'm going to have to, be involved in selling and help close a lot of deals. And you would be great at that too. I think, in fact, that's part of the big reason why they chose you for the role. Okay, yeah. Well, I knew what she was about to say because Carol was like so many other clients that I'd worked with in this very situation. Yeah, but I mean, I'm going to have to. Well, look, I've built my reputation on being a person of really high integrity. She said it. This is what happens to so many people as they are eventually, reach the level either in their own company or another company where they get to, or a senior role. They're in a senior role where they get to have a lot more client interface because they're the heavy in the room many times. They are the ones who are making the final calls. And so of course they're going to be involved in sales conversations. But the reason they struggle with it is not necessarily what you think it is. And once I got to the bottom of it, I'm going to share with you what happens and what I think you can do about it if you are afflicted by this fear as well. So the reason Carol and so many other people are reluctant to be in these customer-facing sales conversations is because they believe that they have to become someone else in order to play that role. And in particular, they tell themselves that salespeople have a few qualities. One is salespeople they have zero integrity. That in order to be in sales, you have to sort of leave your integrity at the door. And the other thing is that they are, let's call it insincere. They are those people who are, what do you want to call it? Glad-handing, schmoozing, just always having a great time, but not really being real. And that was what Carol, more than anything, was afraid of, that she was going to have to become that. Well, I know that's not what she had to become, but I know why she believed it, which is why most people do. And that is that we've all had that experience with the really bad salesperson who has nothing on their mind but getting you to say yes to whatever that product or services that they're selling so that they can get their commission right now, get you out the door, and move on to the next person. It's usually the very transactional sales where they know in their lifetime they will probably never see you again, so they don't care what they have to say or do to get you to say yes so that they can get their commission. But that's not the type of selling that Carol was going to do, and it's probably not the type of selling that you will have to do in the senior role that you will play when you're doing that. But it's really important to have success at it. So rather than be fearful and tell yourself, in order to do this job, I'm going to have to become someone that I'm not, how does that set you up for success? I'm going to suggest that selling is actually something very different. And it's the way that I've approached sales since I was 22 years old in my first job, a sales job in the Bronx. And it's worked well for me. And I've been able to share this in part because of my sales background with these clients who haven't come with that background. And my suggestion is that you need to think of sales as getting paid to make friends. And it's also about being a very high integrity salesperson. So what I'm going to suggest is that sales is actually making friends and solving problems. And it's super high integrity. And you can even say super high sincerity. That's what the great selling is long-term selling, which is what you'll do in a senior leadership role like you will. Yes, you'll be involved in closing deals or putting them together, and you'll want to do it with high integrity if you want to retain these customers. I have customers that I've had for 10, 15, and 20 years. All of my business has come over this 26 years that I've been doing this, as I shoot this today, from word of mouth referral. And I think part of it has to do, hopefully because I do good work, but also because I approach it like this. So let's think about this. If you were being somebody's friend and you were getting paid to make friends, how would you approach it? Well, when you made friends, you'd first get to know them. And then where you'd start to focus at some point as you really got to know them is you'd say, hey, so what is it that, what are you working on? What's keeping you up at night? What are your problems that you're trying to solve? And as they told you, you couldn't help but, because you care, start to think about, I wonder what solutions that there might be that I could come up with that would help them solve the problem. And if you couldn't come up with solutions, you might make suggestions of other resources or refer them to other people who could. You'd also let them know, look, I think you're missing the point here. I think you're wrong. I think you're misguided in your thinking, or you're not looking at it the right way, because that's what friends do for each other, right? So either you would solve the problem for them or help them find the place that can solve the problem, because your goal for your friend is you want them to be better off. Well, isn't that what you can do with your customers? Now, you may feel the pressure like, no, I have to have my solution. Well, they have to buy my solution. That's not being a friend. You go through the same process. What's keeping you up at night? Trying to think of solutions. And yes, if your solution solves the problem, then offer it to them. Either if it solves the whole problem, great. If it solves part of the problem, great. But if not, you'll be a friend and you'll tell them, I got nothing, but here's someplace you might want to look. Or we could give this a try. I'm not sure it will work. Because that's what friends would do. And then as they say things that don't make sense to them in their thinking, trying to solve the problem themselves, you'll say, yeah, I think, frame it this way, look at it this way. No, I think you're wrong, because that's what friends do, because you're trying to help them solve the problem. If you have a solution, great, offer it, see if it works. You're helping your friend. If not, be a friend and tell them you don't have it. Your integrity is high. You're being a friend. You've listened and you probably helped them, even if you haven't solved the problem, you've helped them understand their problem and their needs much better, which as a person that approaches my clients is at the very least, if they're having a conversation with me about potentially buying something or working with me from my company, at the very least, I want them to feel smarter when they walked out the door, better and more clear about what it is that they need to do. That's being a friend. So what I find is that there are a number of people that I've worked with over the years who limit their career paths or the things that they would be willing to do. Well, I'll never run a business like that because I don't want to be in sales, or I don't want to have the customer contact because I don't want to have to lose my integrity. What are the things that you might have cut off for yourself because you thought selling was about, no integrity and being insincere? Are there things that if you looked at it this way, not only could you see, oh, I'm already really well qualified to do that, but it's not against my ethos. It does not violate any of my own personal standards. My guess is that as you think about this, if it's not a role, there are at least particular functions that you have said no to because you carry this assumption. So think about it. Sales is high integrity, getting paid to make friends, and being a great problem solver. And you will need to be able to do this in any senior leadership role. Eventually, if you get senior enough, you're going to need to have customer contact, especially if you're leading a B2B business, but really in any business. All right. So I hope that this has opened some possibilities to you to help you see some things you're capable of that you already have the skills for, even if you don't have sales as a background like I do. Trust me, I've had many, many clients who have made that shift simply by making the mind shift from here to here. They didn't need any skills that they didn't have, and you don't either. All right, I can't wait to hear how you put this to use, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.